And we're live. Welcome back to Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. I'm Steven.
I'm Alec.
And we have an extremely exciting show for you guys today. This has been one that I've actually been looking forward. This is probably my most excited show, just because this is going to be the most off-the-rail show. Would you agree, Alec?
Excited?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
No, I'm also excited.
Yeah.
I love peated Scotch in general, but to have a little something extra on the show today is also going to be pretty cool. So I'm ready. You're ready. Someone else is almost ready, so we'll be there.
He's getting there. So today we'll wait for him to come in before I do the usual spiel of getting into the whole thing. But let's bear with me actually one moment. I want to verify we're actually live.
I hope we're actually live.
Yeah. We're live.
Look
good. Look good. Okay. Yep. Sorry, guys. Doing some housekeeping and whatnot. So today we are doing a live Scotch flight with the Bourbon Wrench, who, well, if you couldn't tell from his name, he is not really a Scotch drinker. And so he wanted to collab with us, and, we're always game to collab with people. And this was one of our pre-planned flights. So him not being a Scotch person, this is not inherently a flight that I would put together for someone who's not heavy into Scotch. But we did what we could with what we had. So before I bring him in here and we do the spiel, I'm going to go ahead and get caught up in chat so I make sure we don't miss anything from you guys. Let's go. Time to educate Trev in lovely peated Scotch. I don't think it's going to go that way. I think these might be a little bit too heavy peated for him, but we'll see. Good luck tonight, Trev. Yep. Evening all. Thank you. Trev sent me. Thank you, Trev. He's in the background. We're going to bring him in here really quickly. Looking forward to seeing the faces he makes. Yeah, I went through all of his past videos, and I found that one where he drinks all the whiskeys he despises. And I pulled that little screen capture from him making a rough face. I think he'll like the Port Charlotte. I'm thinking that or the Talisker 10.
I think Port Charlotte.
I mean, the Port Charlotte's our favorite out of this whole bunch.
Well, and it's the most it has other flavors to complement the peat. Talisker's is good too, but it doesn't have so much to back it, to counter the peat, I should say.
Yeah. Why am I here? To watch Trev's face? Yeah, that's going to be the highlight of tonight. I'm more excited to see Trev's face than to drink this whiskey, which is not really my typical thing.
I think you need to make yourself an episode where you drink all the whiskeys you despise, just so we can get some faces for you, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we're game. Alrighty, folks, I'm roughly caught up in chat. I just skimmed through. If I missed anything important, go ahead and, add us. We'll go through it again. But without further ado, I'm going to bring in tonight's live stream guest, which is Trev, the Bourbon Wrench. Trev, how are you doing?
I mean, honestly, I'm so glad to be here.
You don't sound glad.
I'm so happy.
No, honestly, I feel like when you texted me and was like, are you cool with suffering? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Why not? Let's do the peated Scotch. I feel like there's bound to be one of these that I'm going to like. So I'm hopeful. So I don't know. Some of it I like. And by some of it, I mean, the sample I was just drinking a second ago, there were parts of it that I liked. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm just absolutely hating my life the whole time I'm drinking it, but I don't know. It depends on what you guys sent me, because I don't know. I don't know how bad things can get, I guess is what I'm saying.
I would say set your bar low, so that way we can blame everything on Steve. That's
all
how
right.
I pretty much live the whole life I have with Steve. So it's worked out for me. Just saying.
Yeah. And if this goes terrible, we have a few other scotches we can send you to be like, hey, try these out instead. Because again, this was not really made when we set up this flight. It wasn't really made with the intentions of you joining on. It just, we started collabing after we already swapped samples between me and Alec. And I was like, well, do you want to join us with this? And, you're more than game to jump in the deep end with some peated Scotch.
I'm glad you joined me because you're going to have the outsider's perspective of,
That's right.
of what the heck you sent me. The colors, dude, the colors really bother me.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't blame you.
B is not okay.
No, B looks like either really, really clean urine or really, really crappy water.
Yes, this is Detroit's water, or this is you are ready for a 12-mile ruck march. You are hydrated.
Yep.
Either way, I don't want to drink it.
But you will.
I'm going to.
That's right. That's right.
That was probably like the weirdest thing when we originally started getting into Scotch, me and Al, because we're only about a year, maybe a year and a half deep into Scotch, and not really.
Maybe.
We've tried maybe 20, 30 bottles.
Yeah.
Again, we're far more along your lines of bourbon than anything else. Like that's our like alleyway more than anything. But we like some Scotch from time to time, and honestly, that was the biggest thing going from like bourbon where everything's dark as hell to like Scotch where, you know, you can get like a 15-year-old Scotch and it looks like pee and you're like, what? What? Because like 15-year-old bourbon's like, it's like almost black at that point. And you're like, okay, that makes sense. That's what it should look like.
You know, we kind of talked about this just a second ago too. Just the fact that they're doing second fill barrels, it's picking up so much less of the barrel. Because you take a 4-year-old bourbon and whatever this is, like, you know, it's crazy. It literally blows my mind that this is even possible, you know?
Yeah, and all these are 10 years old, so that's a 10-year-old Scotch. Yep, that's 10 years old. Right?
Teaches you something about life, huh?
Whatever, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah. Got Bourbon Bar, Tipsy Whiskey Shenanigans. Are you going to compete against Trev for the best body and whiskey tube? I've kind of let myself go a little bit, so I'm not. I think Trev's going to win on that one.
I don't know. I've been drinking a lot of wine.
I know. Oh, I've been just drinking a lot in general. But, you know,
the thing, bourbon and whiskey doesn't, I feel like it didn't have as much of an effect as the wine has on my body.
Well, it's because when you drink wine, you never get into a position where you're like, I feel the need to, you know, exert energy. Wine is meant for you to slug down and chill out. There's no getting up and going for a walk. There's no getting up the next morning and going for a run. It's just, I've had my wine. I'm now medicated for the next 8 to 10 hours.
But you also have to drink to get to that level. You drink so much more wine.
That is also
true. Is like a lot of calories compared to whiskey. So yeah, it happens.
Fair enough.
Trev, you're now contractually obligated to like one of these peated scotches. Got to help us get to 1,000 subs.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So before we get into that, we like to do like a little round table just to allow people in about what you've been drinking recently. So for me, I've recently just been drinking a lot of Texas whiskey. I got some Iron Root stuff recently, and I've just been going heavy into that and some Still Austin stuff. What about you, Alec?
So I actually was in San Diego this last weekend, and as I was looking around, knew we were doing the Scotch flight on Wednesday. And I was seeing if there was anything that might be, you know, worth just bringing her out. And I called you about it. You didn't sound interested in anything, but I was like, you know what? Screw it. Trader Joe's has a Highland single malt Scotch that's aged in sherry cask or finished in sherry cask for $17. I was like, I'm on vacation. The worst that's going to happen is I'm going to get plastered off a bottle of Scotch.
Did it taste like shit?
No, it did not taste like shit, actually. It tasted pretty darn good, if I'm going to be honest. Now, again, that's for $17. I'm not going to pretend like it has some kind of magical attribute that a, you know, $50, $60, $80 bottle of Scotch would. But still, putting it on a budget Scotch kind of online, I'd say, I mean, I'm not going to say Trader Joe's did it bad. That's my take.
All right. Andrew Kelly, yes, the thumbnail is going to be the flight. imagine that. I always have to remind myself why scotches go way more aged used barrels. The difference is crazy. Yeah. But they're not afraid to like finish things, whereas American whiskey is kind of just getting into that. So they do have a huge flavor variance and change in things. So sometimes you can get a super flavorful like 10-year-old where you get like a 20-year-old and it's like, eh.
Yeah. Well, and I think also like aged or finished bourbons too also kind of tend to go along similar lines. You know, a lot of them tend to pick the same kind of finishes. Well, there's so many finishes to Scotch that it's kind of ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Linux Cat just got me like heated. Remember, Alec, you'll remember this. The Balcones Brimstone. I described it as the burn pits burning plastic and papers in Afghanistan, and like that's all I could think about the whole time tasting. And I was like, this
That's
like
not good.
Has no good memories.
Yeah, I was like not as petrified by the flavor, but it was definitely something that kind of made you go, like I don't know if I want to drink that again. But yeah, interesting bottle for sure.
Alec, do you have the Trader Joe's Scotch?
Yes.
With you right now?
Yes.
While you're going to get that, Trev, what the heck have you been drinking recently?
Honestly,
wine apparently.
No, I've been drinking a lot of wine, but I recently got this bottle, the Redwood Empire Haystack. This is, I guess, the latest batch, which is finished in Cabernet. This might be. I will go ahead and venture to say this is in my top 5 favorite of all time. Would it surprise me if it's in my top 3 favorite? That wouldn't surprise me at all. I love this. This is incredible. But other than that, just been drinking. I've picked up several new bottles, so I've been drinking them like crazy. And other than that, it's just a random bottle off the shelf or wine. So
fair enough.
What kind of wine have you been getting into? Because I've recently been getting into wine a little bit myself.
Also, real quick for everybody looking, this is that Highland Scotch single malt Trader Joe's sherry finish.
Is it age stated?
No, I don't think it is. If I had to say, oh gosh, I'm gonna say no. Most likely not.
I mean, usually if it's age stated, they'll have a huge ass number on the front.
Yeah, and there's no huge ass number on the front. In fact, yeah, there's nothing, no rhyme or reason of age on this. This is just a good old fashioned Trader Joe's single malt Scotch.
Yeah. The Bourbon Baller says, I came here to watch Trev suffer. He's about to. Maybe not at the initial, but towards the end of the flight.
Yay.
He's not going to have a good time. Yes, Alec does live in Tucson. I don't know if you know of any good liquor stores around there, though, because you kind of live in the booms in Tucson. But that's kind of the way you like it.
Yeah, I mean, there's two not Traders. There's two Total Wines that are in Tucson. But if you live in Tucson, you probably know that. I do know there's a liquor store that's about like 10 minutes down the road from me. Haven't gone yet, mostly because I don't usually trust liquor stores. I feel like I have to either be already a couple of glasses deep to want to go to a liquor store, or I have to have not been to this area before. And I'm like, screw it. In San Diego, went to a liquor store. Why? Because it was a 5-minute walk down the road and I needed some bourbon. So I went and got some bourbon. And I got some Warhead Seltzers. Delicious, by the way.
What?
Yes. The Warhead Candy Seltzers. It is phenomenal. I was blown away. I was like, this is not real. And yes, like pop that can, first sip, like instant cheeks just sucked straight in from the sourness. It was incredible. But this is a bourbon channel, so we're not going to get into that. Okay.
I don't know all about that. I don't know. I'll try it.
I don't do seltzers.
Yeah.
Except for normal seltzers, like non-alcoholic seltzers. I'll drink
Steve
those.
got trashed one time on Bud Light seltzers, and I remember it being hilarious. Yes. He was like, at the end of the night, he's like, dude, I don't get it. I thought we only had a couple. And now all of a sudden, I'm shit-faced. And I'm like, yes, that is how they work. They are water, sneaky. Yeah.
They taste like it, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ethan Turk, yeah, pretty much. I mean, that's what most of, Arizona is just the desert.
Bonies.
Where like what? Trev, you're in Arkansas, right?
Yep.
That's mostly like what, like a forest?
Yeah.
Kinda? Like a foresty swamp.
Yeah. I mean, the further south, it's pretty cool because like south is swamp, and then there's like the plains, and then there's where I'm at, which is just kind of woods and whatever, and then up north's mountains. So you kind of go through all sorts of things. So, but so it's a lot of forests.
As long as there's some mountains, I feel like I could never live in a state that doesn't have mountains. It's just not my thing.
When you think mountains, though, don't think like Colorado mountains. These are completely engulfed in trees.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah. I feel you.
Alrighty. So before we kick this off, because I kind of want to crack into these SOBs, Trev, explain to everyone watching, because I know a lot of people are kind of from your Patreon and whatnot, which, by the way, if you're not signed up to Trev's Patreon, he has the best Patreon in all of WhiskeyTube, hands down. So go do that thing. You know, someone drop his link in channel and spam his channel, all that jazz.
Channel now.
You know, do that. But no, go ahead and, explain to everyone what your experience with Scotch is and what your initial thoughts are going into this.
My experience with Scotch. Very little I've tried. I've definitely, Ethan Turk's in here. I've tried a couple with him that he kind of was like, hey, you might like this one. We're pretty decent. I did a Scotch flight from Whiskey Central. I think there was maybe one of the samples that I thought was tolerable, but it's not looking promising. There hasn't really been a Scotch that's been like, oh my God, I have to go buy that bottle. It's been more of, I didn't hate that and I could drink that. If say we're all together, we're outside, whatever, totally drink it and be fine with it. But I don't know what to expect. I genuinely don't know. I'm so clueless how this is going to go.
Based on chat and what Steve's told me, it sounds like more or less you have a reputation for Scotch hitting your tongue and you gag. So
I usually make a mess.
Okay.
It depends. It's usually, I will say this, a lot of it is the aftertaste I'm actually cool with. I'm like, the finish of this is pretty good. It's the initial hit of malt and whatever the heck else is going on that I hate.
All right, fair enough.
It's kind of like I gag, and then at the end I'm like, oh, I love this. This aftertaste is great. So we'll see. I don't know.
All right. Hey, it's an experience, man. That's what we're here for.
And you guys keep building it up. Oh yeah, he'll be fine until the last couple, Like, what is in that? What's in the last samples?
Well, you know how we said it kind of looks like piss? No, kidding. That's not
the
true.
Last one's literally after a night of partying.
Yes.
It's a special blend.
Yes, it's a special blend indeed. I had a buddy who in college one time took a beer. It was a light beer. He drank it and then filled the bottle up with piss, put it back into the fridge, and then told me about it. But it was amongst like 20 other beers.
You never told me this.
Oh yeah, it was Cody. Cody did it. But so for the next like 6 months, I would never drink any of the beer in the fridge because I was like just convinced I was gonna accidentally pop open the piss bottle. And so, but I didn't get rid of it either for some stupid reason. I was not thinking correctly, obviously, during this time, because a smart man would have just ditched it all. So I would never do that to a person. Steve is questionable though. Love you, buddy.
Everyone go ahead and check out Trev's Patreon. He's an awesome dude. So yeah, let's get into this with sample A. If you guys have them all poured.
I don't, but I mean, here we go.
Well, no, I actually decided, because usually I do try to pour before we start, but then I was like, man, Steve always has the coin to put on top of his Glencairn, and that does honestly help with the palate and with the nose. And so I was like, Nope, this time leaving them in the vial, except for this bad boy. I poured this one before I thought about it.
So our first two peated scotches are actually in this flight, which is Laphroaig 10 and Ardbeg 10. Ardbeg 10 was my first one that we tried, and it was like a weird love-hate relationship at first. I mean, it still kind of is, if we're going to be honest. To me, peated scotch, it has a time and place. It's like a 10% of the time I'm into peated scotch, maybe 5. You know, it's like I want something that's going to be like bacon grease and, you know, smoke.
So hold on. Did you say what this was? I'm confused. You said the first two?
So the first two we've tried. So this is blind for me. I have the little key right here.
But 2 of these 4 samples are Laphroaig 10 and Ardbeg 10.
Oh yeah, here.
Okay.
Well, you guys are smelling that. I'm gonna run through the list. So we got Ardbeg 10,
bitchin'.
Port Charlotte 10,
extra bitchin'.
Yeah, Laphroaig 10, and then Talisker 10.
So this is blind for all of us?
Yes.
Yeah. The only one it's like less blind for is me, because I'm the one who poured them for everyone, but I wrote down the key like a month ago. So my memory's not that good. So I have no idea. But based off of color,
this was during our famous batch live stream decisions that one day.
The one day we just decided the next like 2 months worth of live streams.
Yes, and got trashed.
This actually smells really good.
Yeah, you dig it?
Yeah. There's nothing. It's almost fruity, like sweet smoke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all of these are Islay peated scotches, so it's like a famous island in or next to Scotland, I guess, or was part of the Scotland territory. Islay, they make a lot of peated scotches, and then this one is Talisker 10 is on the island of Skye, which is
also
next. Yeah, it's essentially like adjacent to Islay, but it's not technically in the category of Islay Scotch. It's an island Scotch. Do I know what that means? No, but I like it.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
No. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
So I get the whole this is from Islay. If you're in Islay, do you have is it more of, is there a rule in place that says we're in Islay, this is how we do it? Or it's more of a tradition of Islay, we do peat?
I think it's
more of a tradition.
Well, I think it also is more so based on terrain and a little bit more on the actual weather. But
it just goes better. Like, this is why we do it, because it's
Well, okay. So England traditionally is known for being warmer towards the south end, because that's where they have the English Channel. That's where they have a lot of the gyres that produce like warm air that will actually go up and keep it from being bloody cold. Shut up. But on the north end of England and Scotland, that's where they don't have that same kind of climate. And so it does stay colder longer. And especially out on the northern ends, you're talking about a lot higher winds, a lot more of like that seawater kind of like feel gets into all of the plants, and generally just like that's going to influence the flavor profile. So you can think of it as if you had a Scotch that was made in London, it's probably going to be very, very different from a Scotch made at the north end of Scotland.
Okay. It all makes sense. I was just wondering, like, because like everyone, it's an Islay Scotch. That means to me, everyone there, that's what they do, period.
See, I feel like if I lived in that area, I'd probably hate peated Scotch, because you're also burning peat for fuel and warmth part of the year. So it's like you are literally bombarded by this smell that we're getting off of this Scotch half the damn time. Like, it's got to get old, right?
You know, that might be why they're so receptive to it, though. It's kind of, they're just used to it. This isn't, people are like, man, that's so aggressive. And they're like, what are you talking about? This is just my day-to-day whatever. I'm just I'm getting past that. I'm tasting what is there.
Yeah. And I mean, good for them, because obviously they have to have that kind of, sensitivity in the nose and the palate to be able to draw out such crazy and great flavors. So if they're not doing it right, they're doing it right, in my opinion.
What does that even mean, Alec?
You know what it means, Steve. Don't
No,
question.
but no, there's definitely some non-peated Isla scotches. It's just more of a tradition thing. I think. Because I have this one, and I know there's quite a few other ones, and then there's also some Highland regions and some Speyside regions that do peated. It's one of those things.
Now, wait, Trev, real quick question: have you had any of the not peated, but like we have Del Bach down here that does a smoked bourbon, or how like some of the Texas bourbons are smoked? What is your opinion on that comparatively to peated Scotch?
I've had a peated bourbon.
Okay.
A local distillery did a peated bourbon, and it was like my favorite thing that they've done. So it was fantastic. So I don't think it's peat necessarily that I don't like. I think there's maybe the amount of peat maybe I hate, or the fact that I think I don't like malt. So the fact that it's a single malt with peat, like an over-the-top peat.
So it's two things you don't like, and you're just kind of mashing them together. Okay.
So maybe that too. I don't know. You just got to try more and narrow it down.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way you're going to find out what you like is by trying it. And Hanging AZ says, don't do it, Trev. You got to run.
No, this smells really good. Now, if it's going to taste that way, I don't know. But the smell is, I smell this all night. At least this one.
Yeah, it's very sweet, fruity, but also has like a little hint of smoke on the end there.
And what I really like, not getting any maltiness.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the nice thing about peated scotches is I don't get, so a lot of like the Highland scotches we have, I get like this huge, like it's like a barley malty note, which I'm a huge fan of American single malts. That's been like my recent, like, I don't know, my thing to drink or try out, whatever the case may be. But like the Highlands, they have like this very like heavy, like barley, like malty note, where a lot of like the peated scotches, it's not really that. It like skips past that side. And I'm not the hugest fan of that one either.
Yeah, I'm digging this. When do I get to taste this?
You don't have whenever. Like we don't have a like structure of
it. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
If your internet goes out, people won't hate you, Trev. You like it?
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Like,
really?
Donnie, go ahead and subscribe now.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly,
I like this better than I remember. It's super sweet. It's not very heavy sweet.
It is sweet. It does have a slightly iodine flavor that's kind of in the middle right before the finish, but it's not super strong. And usually I hate the iodine when I get it on a scotch. So
see, I don't know what that even means.
I didn't either for the longest time. Steve would talk about like an
rubber
flavor.
Gloves.
Yeah, or like if you've ever
Trev. So Trev, you know the way like brand new basic training boots smell? Like the rubber soles? That.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like rubbery and iodine-y.
Okay.
That's the best note I can say for like Laphroaig 10 is literally iodine and basic training boots stepping on like a fire, turning it into ash.
and bacon.
Which all basic training boots should probably do that.
Yeah. I mean, at some point they'll probably do it.
This is good. I think that this is like a bourbon drinker's whatever this is. I feel like if you are a bourbon drinker only and you've never had it, I would say this. It's sweet, and the peat is not too much. It's not just punching me in the face.
No, and
it's kind of not even lingering that long.
Mm-hmm.
It's subtle, very subtle.
Oh yeah. Let me go over the ABV. So I know Port Charlotte is 50%. Laphroaig is 43. Ardbeg's 46, and then Talisker is 45. So yeah, none of these are like barrel proof or super hot by any means. But I like how the peat on this one doesn't hit you. The initial like flavor as soon as you swallow isn't like aggressive peat. It's more of like a soft fruitiness, and then it kind of sparks into this like smoky peat.
Yeah, well, I think this is kind of how most peated scotches are friendly. Is the ones that don't have that lingering taste. It's not like when you go and you smoke a cigar and then you can like taste it on your breath an hour later when you're done. You know, because that is how some peated scotches can do, is they linger like no other.
You know, is this? Let me run this note by you. After you take a sip and swallow it, give it like 20 seconds. In this leftover, there's like a smokiness, but it's almost like so dark. It almost reminds me of like chocolate notes that I get on a bourbon. It's like a chocolatey Scotch, like peaty note, and that's what I love, because it reminds me. It's if you took like an Old Forester and made it peated or something.
Yeah. Okay.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, almost kind of like roasted coffee beans, like a roasted mocha kind of flavor to it. Yeah, agreed.
Maybe that's what
I like it even better now.
Getting at.
Yeah. No, it's incredible what the smokiness can do.
Yeah,
I like that one. We're off to a good start.
The next three are all just gonna be shit.
It's all gonna be.
I think it's gonna go downhill.
Yeah.
Is peated. I have an unpeated as well. Yeah. So they're all traditionally peated, but some of them are unpeated. Sorry guys, I'm super far behind on chat. I'm not used to having 22 people in at once, and
it's a lot of freaking awesome nerds around here.
Yeah. So even though we're primarily like a bourbon channel, we drink a lot of bourbon and rye. For some reason, every single one of our live streams, we end up talking about freaking Scotch. I don't get it. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but it just freaking happens.
Look, I think that it's the world trying to tell us that Scotch is okay. And Trev, this might be the world trying to tell you to just give it a shot. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Go buy a bottle and just go loose with it.
I have stuck by this for all of time. I try to keep an open mind. I will try anything within reason.
Okay, I was like,
I don't know. We can push that boundary pretty far. I was an infantry.
I mean, the One Chip channel had you pretty screwed up.
I was gonna say we can always send him a sample of the bacon fat, the fat washed bacon fat.
No, I threw that away. I didn't even get the sample bottle. I threw the sample bottle away.
If you like smokiness, you'll love that. No, it was something. It was truly something.
I just want to have an open mind, though, because to me, and I've always said this, is knowing Scotch, like just being realistic. You know that Scotch, the difference in flavors is so wide. So how could I say I don't like any of it? I've only tried 3. I've only tried 6. That's not a good enough sample size to say I just don't like this. So I keep an open mind.
All right. Well, it looks like tonight you're at least getting expanded by 4. So, yes, please, let's get into B.
I poured it, and this is the one that just.
Oh, this is a urine
bothers
sample.
Me. Something bothers me when it's that light.
Yeah, like I said, it's either really clean urine or Detroit water. Yes, you're right about that.
I had a sample swap with someone recently. That was like a cash strength 100, or it's a 14-year-old, like 115 cash strength Scotch, and it was fantastic. But it was lighter than any sample I've ever had of Scotch. I was like, this looks like White Dog, and it ended up being like 14 years old.
It also doesn't smell. This actually smells good too, and maybe it's because it's so light,
heated, right?
Yeah, this is very, very light. Which, go figure, maybe the color indicated that. But
yeah, well, I think Steve and I can kind of guess this one.
I know exactly what this is.
Yeah, him and I. We've been around the train a couple times. Yeah.
What which one when you say this?
Well, no, we can't tell you because then you'll have some kind of inclination.
I mean, he doesn't really have any apprehension, but I'm pretty sure this is
no
Ardbeg.
idea what any of these are, dude.
All right.
I mean, it smells like Ardbeg.
Yep. It's fruity like Ardbeg.
It's not bad. Like on the nose, it's so light that the very little that I'm personally getting it's just kind of there. It's not aggressive at all to me.
Stacey H says, I get a little bit of a mineral taste with some scotches. I get it with Bushmills as well. Isn't Bushmills like a super budget?
Yes.
Irish
whiskey. Yes. It's that terrible, like it's the gold label that sits next to Patty's, or not Patty's. What was that Irish whiskey that we brought that you were like, this is absolute garbage?
Going from A to B is way more aggressive. It's way more ashy campfire smoke.
No, I think after actually having a taste, I don't think it's Ardbeg. I have a different option in mind.
I'm kind of lost for words.
Color.
Now, do you feel sick to your stomach?
No. I just, I was so hopeful with A. I'm like, that's good. And then I get to B, and I'm like, man, this smells fine. And then the palate was like, surprise, kicking the nuts.
Yes. It's almost like you can actually taste ash, right?
I'd have to go back before I give notes because that was such a tongue punch of bad memories. I don't know.
This is a lot lighter on the nose, and it's like more fruity, floral, lighter, sweeter on the nose, and then on the palate, it becomes way more darky, ashy, kind of like meaty and briny.
Yeah. No, yeah, which is kind of like actually pretty common, I think, with most of the scotches that we've had, is that it's deceptive as all hell. You think, man, this is like super fruity, and I'm gonna love it, and then you take a sip, and you're like, God.
That's kind of the nose. It was like, oh, this is kind of fruity, soft like the first one.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. This is where I get my notes.
Storytime says, disgusting. It's not gay if it's a three-way, except tonight. Hey, it isn't. Or oh wait, no, it's not Man Love Thursday.
Oh yeah. Isn't that like wonderful? This is one of those.
That ain't it, man. That ain't it.
This is like the kind of scotch that you have to drink in a very specific moment. Like no one ever comes home and wants to have this with dinner. I don't care what you're eating. It's not happening, right? Like this is a strictly on a weird night where you're just not, you don't even know what you want, but you want to get kicked, like you said, in the nuts and in the tongue.
I mean, I've never come home and said that. There just might be something wrong with you guys. I really want to get kicked in the nuts tonight.
That's right. That's how
Alex, what you would call a masochist?
Yeah. Satan and masochist.
When you guys say, because I know Scotch people say Band-Aid.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means either, but there is a note on this that I wouldn't call Band-Aid other than like the Band-Aid adhesive.
Like when you the actual the Band-Aid part?
Yeah, that's what I'm. Some sort. I don't know. It's not right.
I don't like natural the Band-Aid name. I don't know what Band-Aids taste like or smell like, so I hardly ever used the
Band-Aid flavor with the iodine flavor. It's like a medical thing that is just not. It does not taste good. Does not smell good. I mean, you shouldn't taste it, but
have you
know that if
iodine?
You taste it.
Well, to me, this tastes like what I would imagine the things that in the operating room would taste like if it splashed into my mouth.
Right.
And I don't like it.
Yeah, like if you were patching up a wound and you just saw a bunch of like brown red liquid that wasn't blood, but you knew that it stunk, you're like, that's iodine, and that's what I'm drinking right now.
Yeah,
but it doesn't look like iodine, no, but it definitely smells like it.
Aaron says Talisker adds color. That kind of makes sense. Me personally, I don't really give a shit as long as it tastes good and I like it. But yeah, it definitely makes sense because this is really dark compared to all the other 10-year-olds on this list.
This is the lightest one of all.
Well, no, I'm talking about Talisker. I'm going off of the bottles because I have the bottles in front of me.
Might be. I overstepped my bounds. I apologize.
Yeah, stay in your place.
Steve, okay?
Trev, you doing all right, man?
B makes me actually makes me really like A.
Yeah.
I would, at this point, I'm giving A more points of how much I liked it.
I like A better too, right now at least.
I also agree.
I would give that a 7 out of 10. This I would give nose 4 out of 10, taste 2.
Man,
maybe a 1, but no, can't go that low. It's a 2.
What is a 1 to you, Trev?
A 1.5 would probably be Malort. A 1 would be Hideous Liqueur, which I can't give you any details other than it's like
Hideous?
plum. It's like plum liquor. And it makes me ill to the stomach. A 0.5 is probably deer piss. And trust me, I actually know what that tastes like on accident. Okay. So,
were you gutting it and you accidentally pierced the bladder a little bit?
When I was a kid, I'm on the 4-wheeler with my dad, and I'm so thirsty. Like I'm just sitting there dying of thirst. And I unzip his. He has a little bag, and I unzip it, and there's like a little bottle. I'm a little kid. I didn't know. I just thought I don't know. Unscrew it, and I took a swig. It's piss.
Yep.
So you rub it on the leaves and stuff. So
yeah, or you can put it on like onto your whatever you're wearing.
Like cologne, and pat it on you. Well, I drank it, and that's pretty bad. This is close, but not quite as bad.
Okay, that's fair enough. I've never drank deer urine, but I've been close enough to it to imagine what the aroma in my nose was going to taste like on my palate, and I can agree, not the kind of thing you want to have, but not too far off from some of the shittier scotches I've had.
Yeah, I mean, this I would much rather smell this than drink it for sure. The nose is actually pretty decent. It's fine.
You also get a 4 out of 10.
Tastes like Band-Aid smell. Well, is that compared to the 1792 full proof?
Did you just pour that?
Yeah.
Wait, how did that?
We're using that as chasers.
Where the hell did that come from? Thank you, Steve.
Maybe I do need to reset the palate.
Yeah, gotta use it as a palate cleanser. Tastes like how a Band-Aid smells. Laphroaig tastes like something set in ER biohazard bin on fire. Ugh.
Oh my. Stacy just spoke to my heart.
Yeah, aren't you in the medical field of some kind?
Yeah, I actually worked in the ER for a couple years, so I know all about their waste baskets.
Their biohazards.
You don't even want to know. You don't want to know what's been in there.
Whenever I think about like medical biohazards, for some reason, it always goes to that scene in Fight Club where they're stealing the fat for soap and it gets caught on the barbed wire and it starts falling on them.
And he like tries to like grab it and like catch it.
It's so gross.
So here's another random story. And this, I had to take some sort of disposable, it was some human body fluid. I don't even know what it was, but I had to take it into a disposal room that I've never been to before in the hospital. And it was literally a closet. Like it was an unmarked location, just a door in a hallway. And I entered the little code and I went in there, and I kid you not, there were like buckets of like body parts in just weird. I was like, what is this? That's like that's like a whole leg in a tub.
Oh, like like if you walked into like a mad scientist lab and there's like
Yes.
shit growing in like vats of like weird fluid, it was like that
everywhere. And I'm like, who is in here? Who carried this in here?
Well, that is most likely a Marvel villain that's waiting to come out to fight against the next Avengers at that
Could
point.
you imagine, though, you're just coming to see your family and you just see this dude walking and he's just opening this closet door with a bucket full of legs? Like, what is this guy doing? You know? Well, that's what some of this scotch tastes like, that fluid.
That's beautiful. That's wonderful. Well,
everyone in Scotch is saying Malort bad.
Have you guys tried Malort?
No, we've yet to. It's not. I haven't seen it, and I haven't really gone hunting for it.
I'm sending you an entire bottle.
I mean, you could just like not.
That's anything close.
What?
Huh?
Mead, like old fashioned like wine that was like brewed, but it's like brewed past the like actual wine, so it's almost kind of like liquor, but it's just really, really strong. Like it literally does taste almost like you took a plum and you just fermented it until it was like kind of nasty in a way. It's like that kind of like 18-19% wine that's just like aged too long, and it has like a slight like liquor taste to it.
Yeah, Malort's not that.
Okay.
It's like you just have to smell it.
The Linux Cat is keeping us on topic tonight, and they're saying go ahead and get on to C.
Donnie will do that. He'll make sure we're on track.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of good because we could probably talk back and forth forever until like I probably should have been asleep like an hour ago for work tomorrow.
Well, I'm gonna tell you right now that C is a great
fantastic
aroma. Yeah, and
I think what?
It's a great aroma, fantastic, and I could probably take a guess on it.
I was gonna say we're moving back into the 7 to 8 point category here. This is like another sweetness. I don't know if any of these are like finished in wine or something, but I almost got some sort of extra fruitiness on this one that I was definitely lacking on B.
Yeah, no, this one is like almost like cobbler, almost like a fruit cobbler or something like that. Not super bready, but it has that like kind of thicker, more viscous kind of just like the pungent smell, I guess.
I could totally see that. You know what cobbler I'm thinking of? Very specific cobbler too. I don't know if this still exists because I haven't been there since I was a kid. KFC used to have like a dine-in room, and they would have cobbler.
I never had the cobbler. I always had their chocolate cake, their like frozen chocolate cake.
No,
and that was damn good. So I assume if they had a cobbler, it was probably easily. Now, was this back when like KFC was like still owned by the original KFC people?
Yeah, this was like 15 years ago. So
gotcha.
I haven't been back since then, so there's no telling if they even make that. But that's what it reminds me of now that you said cobbler.
Well, this is delicious.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of fruits and citrus on this. Orangey.
Dude, I would totally venture out and say it's like blackberries and like an orangey flavor. But then it has like a really sweet like cream, like a creaminess to it as well.
That's good.
That's the one right there, dude. I will buy a bottle of that right friggin' now.
I mean, I think I know what it is. Mm-hmm. Again,
that is good.
Yeah. See, oh man, palate work. This one has what I like. This is what I think of as like one of the best peated palates in comparison because it doesn't start with smoke. It starts with so much fruit, but then it has a wonderful transition into a smoky aftertaste, but keeping the original flavor profile. It's like you got something. It's like you got something that like you started out as being like, it was like on the counter for 20, 30 minutes. And then it literally goes back in time to when you first pulled it out of the oven. It's amazing.
It's because the peat does not overpower all of the notes that you are enjoying. I feel like so many of them, the peat just says, nope, I am taking over smoke. This is like you said, very creamy to me. It's almost like a blackberry cobbler. Now that you said that, I'm
such a
full
good
blown
note.
into blackberry.
Oh yeah.
Very creamy. And then when, like you said, at front, it's fruity. And then the smoke slowly, it's like it kind of engulfs you a little bit.
Yeah, it
just
creeps
enough
in on you.
Just enough to say, hey, I'm here, but I'm not going to hurt you. And it's great.
It's here to say, I won't make you smell like piss.
Yes. I'm not. I like this is number one, and then A is 2.
Mhm.
This is by far number 1.
Well, see, now I'm curious because I definitely think that Steve and I can give a guess to C for sure, and I think we both have a good idea for B. A and D, I think, are probably comparable. They're going to be pretty similar, but I'm really hoping that D is something that is a little unexpected. So I'm interested to see where this goes.
Yeah. The Linux Cat says Malort smells like wet dog, tastes like licorice and beehole. Or well, ass, but same thing.
That's ass.
Same. Tom says hopefully those legs had the initials on them to be removed.
Yeah, like a brand.
Are we still
like
talking about that closet?
Yes, always, man.
Jeez Louise. Is Malort a weird Chicago tradition? I mean, all I know from it is that it's a like whiskey tube tradition of just like on live streams, whenever you F up, you have to drink it.
No, and it's a Chicago. It's a Chicago. It's like you visit there and you go somewhere and like you take a shot of Malort just because, hey, you're in Chicago.
Do you go like to the bathroom afterwards and just puke it up? Or
I've never been there, but that's just what I've heard. That's where it originated. They just they blatantly make this as bad as possible and just be like, here, welcome to Chicago, nerd.
Well, because Jepson's actually knows what they're doing. I mean, to an extent, at least. I mean, now, because from what I've heard, they're doing some sourcing from MGP, and they're making their own like bourbon now. That's actually quality. I haven't personally had it, but I've heard from a lot of people I trust that they make quality stuff, but they also still make Malort. So,
but here's the thing, in just knowing the bourbons that they're putting out. The Malort is not, it's literally meant to be bad.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a failed, we thought this was good, or we thought you would like this. It's no, this is bad. This is welcome to Chicago, do this.
Yeah. It has to be great for their brand. It put them on the map for sure. Yeah. People know their name.
It was like a joke that just got big. And then they're like, well, shoot, now we got to keep doing this crap.
My Bourbon Journey says Pete sucks. That is all. It's like a little teleconference.
It sounds like a Brewers fan to me.
I'm a Brewers fan.
Cheers, Scott. All right, let me get caught up. Multicasting. Yo, gotta love a peated blind flight. Yeah, they like some peated Scotch over there. If you guys haven't checked them out, go ahead and check out their channel. They also do some fantastic stuff. Yeah, Malort has a bourbon now. So Trev, you're part of the story time, correct?
And by a part, what do you mean?
Like you're like a member at least.
Yeah, I'm not like one of them.
Yeah,
but in a way, yeah, I guess I am.
Like guilt by association, basically.
Yeah, those guys are my guys. So
yeah,
and they did one. I got another Jepson's bourbon pick that they did, and it's like, I don't know. You just have to realize that Malort's a joke because you see the same type of branding on the bourbon, and you're like, oh God, what is this gonna be? No, it's phenomenal. It's quite surprising, and the price too for how good it is just MGP goodness for like $40 to $50, and it's totally worth it. It's so good.
And I know they're releasing. I believe, I shouldn't say I know. I believe they're releasing a bourbon here in the near future, because I just purchased their Starlight pick, I believe, and it said something about another Jepson's pick on the way. So I'm going to pick that one up, and that'll be my first Jepson's product.
I feel like you're gonna like it. And the dude over there at Jepson's is just like a madman, and he loves doing this crap. Like, let's do pics of it, man. Like, let's just do something really good. So I like it. I like the guy.
Yeah. Jake, for me, my favorite Irish so far I've had is Blue Spot. I just tried that over this weekend, and it was phenomenal.
Did you save a little bit of that for me, Steve?
Nope. I only had an ounce, and I butt chugged it. I freaking sent it. It was so good.
He sent me a video.
Yeah, I sent a video. It got very graphic, so obviously we can't show it to you guys, but yeah, it was pretty great.
Dude, all I'm saying is you could have saved a little for me, dude. Okay.
I mean, a 1 ounce sample. If it was a 2 ounce sample, I would have saved it for you.
Look, don't be greedy, okay? That's all I'm saying, man. All right?
Look, man.
Look,
it is what it is.
Look, man.
It is what it is.
And then for me, I would probably say that my favorite Irish whiskey that we've had is either the Redbreast 12 Cask Strength or the Green Spot was also really good.
Dude, I think Green Spot's better than Redbreast 12. Off of memory.
Okay. Well, once I pick it up from your place, I definitely going to do some comparison.
Bring your 12 down on Friday.
I'll think about it. You didn't save any Blue Spot for me, man. Maybe will chug the whole bottle tonight. And then,
we could drink my Green Spot. Whatever.
Maybe.
Not here nor there.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah. Jepson's bourbon is a solid, awesome value too. And I love a value bourbon. Blue Spot is amazing. Yep. It was phenomenal. Trev, what's your favorite Irish?
I am not very well versed at all in Irish either. My problem with Scotch and Irish, mainly probably why I wasn't exposed to it, is because around me, the two closest liquor stores to me, they're Irish. Okay, there's 2 bourbon aisles, and then there's one single aisle that is Canadian, Irish, Scotch, every other whiskey. So that means the Scotch aisle is literally Johnny Walker or Laphroaig 10. And then the Irish whiskey is the bottom shelf Tullamore Dew and Jameson. And then, it's so limited. I've never seen a Redbreast, any of the spots. Like, that's just, you don't get that at these stores anyway. But that being said, I've tried Redbreast 12, phenomenal. Redbreast 12 Cask Strength, phenomenal. Blue Spot is like, dude, you need a bottle of that bottle.
Mm-hmm.
It's so...
A bottle of that bottle.
You need a bottle of that bottle, man.
I like it.
It is sugar cookie heaven in your mouth. It's so good. It's dumb. It pisses me off. It's so good. So yeah, I'm gonna say Blue Spot.
Right,
yeah.
So
my bourbon journey says that means you should move.
Hey, I'm
we'll get one eventually.
But I'm sad. I love it here. This is home, but gosh dang it, wait until I'm president. Liquor sales in Arkansas is going to change.
Yeah. I mean, I think liquor in general should probably change, Drop the prices a little bit,
I got you. Don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
A lot of people are going to be going to prison.
Yep. No, my biggest issue with like Irish and Scotch, and that's the reason why we only have like 20 bottles of Scotch. It's not that I don't know what good Scotch is. All the good Scotch is like $100 or $120, or like all the Scotch that I want to try is like that. And then where like bourbon or like rye, it's like $60 for a quality cask strength. So it's like, do I want to spend $60 or do I want to spend $120? And it's like, well, I could get 2 for $60 and they're going to be just as good quality, just a different flavor profile or different concept of whiskey.
Yeah. And I think that's probably kind of the rise of popularity too, is that it's like, Is it better? Maybe. Maybe some of those higher end scotches and Irish whiskeys you might like them better, but it's like, will my brain interpret it that it's so much better that it's worth 4 times the price? Like, it's like Coke versus Dr. Pepper. Well, I think this one's better, but if that one was 8 times the price, then I would definitely accept just drinking the latter,
Right.
So I think it's just kind of ease of use, cheaper. It's still really good. Gets the job done. That's my problem is getting into Scotch. It's like even if I just wanted to go try a bottle for a good one, I'm having to pay like the same price of a great bourbon. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of hard.
Yeah, like all these are in between like $60 to $90 scotches.
Yeah. Well, you can also make the same argument like in how we talked about wine earlier. Yeah, imagine you went and bought a $60 bottle of wine and you finished it and you're like, I barely have a buzz. It was good, but like I barely got what I wanted really out of it.
Yeah.
And then you can go and buy this like a little $8 bottle of wine and you're like, honestly can't tell much of a difference.
I mean, I can tell that the quality is much less, but it's like it made me equally as happy,
right,
for way less. And that's like, for me, if it makes me feel good, it's like I had such a good time with this bottle. I don't care that it was $8. I had a great night. We had a good time. We talked. We watched whatever.
Yeah,
that's part of it to me.
That's right.
So, Stacey H is very opinionated on her Scotch and Irish whiskey, and she says, yes, they are better. They are. So get it together, Trev.
She went on to say, I'm just getting into bourbon.
I know.
Just haven't found much I like, but it's kind of like me on the flip end. Is like, haven't found much I like.
For her, though, she can go in with the same amount of money and get like 3 to 4 more bottles that she's really trying.
She could get 5 or 6 or 10 bottles.
Look, just go to the liquor store, go nuts, and then come back next week and be like, hey, I got trash for 3 days straight. These are my bourbon picks.
But that's the problem though too, is if I could put myself in her shoes. If I went to the store and I'm like, man, I could buy 10 bourbons for the price of one. Let me buy 10 bourbons. What if I didn't like any of them? Then I'm stuck with literally 10 whole bottles of bourbon that I don't want to drink.
Then you make mixed drinks.
That's a lot of mixed drinks to make.
You just go with it.
Yeah, so Stacey, I believe she's in Ireland. So she doesn't have the availability we have.
Her blood is different too.
Yeah. She drinks different.
Yeah.
So this will go to you, Trev, too, in a way. The Maker's Pick you guys did was fire. I'm disappointed I didn't end up grabbing that. I feel like I should have, but I was, in a savings mindset at that moment, so I just ended up holding off.
I'm so proud of that pick.
No, she says I'm in Iowa, as I was. I was
Ohio.
Incorrect.
Drink.
Dyslexia.
It
is what it is, man.
You're cut off.
It went from Ireland to Iowa, and it's actually Ohio.
Iowa, Ohio.
Does anyone do
they really exist?
No, I've never met someone from Iowa.
Yeah.
I don't think that exists.
Geography and reading are 2 of my not strong suits, even remotely.
They're called weaknesses, sir.
Yes. The opposite of a strong suit. Gene buys too much average whiskey that I'll never go back to. My 2022 whiskey vows was to only buy what I know was solid or an extremely interesting to try. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm done buying random average whiskey.
Okay.
Unless if it's for video. You guys want to get onto D?
I'm on D.
I want to get on the D.
I'm on the D. And I'm telling you what.
Fred's going to wait.
Oh, he's going to love this.
I feel like we should just.
I don't think so.
Oh, no, dude. It's so good.
No, let's just solo lay out him for a sec so we can look
at
his
here face. We go to the D.
Send it.
I'm done smelling it.
Yeah.
Oh, dude.
No, not a fan.
I don't know what. Oh, I think that's the worst because it lingers much longer than B did.
It's so ashy.
It's yes.
It's an ashy fire.
But see, that's the worst part is that that's the only flavor that lasts. You know how you're talking about that tickle like 20 seconds after you've had your sip? Instead of it being chocolate, it's ash, right?
It was ash from the front, and now it's still ash.
Yeah, there's not much
ash to ash.
It's like rubber, iodine, ash. Like there's no fruitiness. There's a slight like vanilla sweetness, and that's about it. But it's like very overshadowed by just ash and smoke.
I don't even get that, dude. I get rubber hose and ash. Maybe I threw the water hose into the ash.
Now, do you get any type of raw bacon flavor in there?
What?
Raw bacon. Like as raw as it gets, you took it out of the packet, you threw it onto the fire, and then it just basically bounced right back out and shot into your mouth.
The only one I get like a heavy emphasis on like a meaty, like ham, bacon type thing is B. B, I get a huge emphasis on like a meatiness.
Really?
On D, it's more of just like ash. D is so heavy on ash.
I'm with you. I get a little meatiness on B. I do not like this one.
Mm-hmm.
This is my least favorite.
D is also my least favorite.
Okay.
I know Trev usually loves the D, but in this case, it's not his D.
I agree. B's got more of
my mouth.
The raw red meat.
So Stacy
I do
says,
not want.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say I do not want this raw D in my mouth.
Fair enough. Stacy says, I like Old Forester, but I like it because it doesn't taste like bourbon. Not sure that's the point. Huh.
Well, I mean, because Old Forester just tastes like bananas and vanilla and chocolate.
That's delicious.
To me, it tastes like a damn good bourbon.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I love hearing the way she talks about bourbon because it's probably the way she interprets me and talking about Scotch. Because I'm like, but I know. So it's like Old Forester's flavor profile is so different from Jim Beam's or
Wild Turkey or whatever.
They all have kind of their little quintessential flavor profile. So it's like what her mind is made up of bourbon tastes like something we don't know. And then that when something that she tastes that she likes, that doesn't taste like bourbon to her.
It could be like the nuttier, like Jim Beam, almost like Wild Turkey thing. Because I can understand why you would enjoy that. Yeah. I mean, that's why Old Forester is my favorite bourbon conglomerate, or like the bigger distillery wise. I think Old Forester is probably my favorite standalone flavor profile.
Imagine a new person who's never had bourbon tried Knob Creek, Wild Turkey 101, and freaking something from Heaven Hill. You would be like, bourbon, it must taste like nuttiness. It must have this nutty characteristic to it. And then you drink something like Buffalo Trace or Old Forester, you're going to be like, what the heck is that? Mm-hmm. That's nothing like those other ones. That's so different.
Right. Well, the same thing. I mean, if you talk about ryes, like ryes can get drastically different too. You've got the ryes that stick on the super candied black licorice side, and you got the ryes that are just like, dude, that is lemon, pepper, and citrus. And you're like, that's freaking delicious. But either way, you're like, I dig it. And then, I mean, I'm sure even like on the Scotch side, she probably is like, you don't even know what you're talking about, man. When we get our Space Side, kitchen bottle, it's like completely different from the standard Highland Scotch, So, I mean, it's all very different in perspective, but I think that just because we're all from we've all been based in bourbon, we have a bourbon, like centered aspect to it.
Honestly, you can apply this knowledge to every single aspect of your life, like music.
Yeah.
Look how many, man, I hate country music. It all sounds the same. But guess what? Someone who's a country fan would be like, well, I can name you 3 artists who doesn't. It's the same thing. I think it really depends on what you try on the start. Like your first impressions of it is what's going to stick with you. And that is what Scotch is to me. That's what bourbon is to her. So,
yeah. Ooh.
And I mean, to run it back to this, I mean, all these are from literally a tiny island off the coast of Scotland. And, I mean, all of them are technically off of islands because one's an island and the other 3 are from Islay. And they're all wildly different. Even though, yes, they are heavily smoky, they're still like wildly different. Yeah.
But
does anyone have guesses to which ones are which? I have my guesses.
Wait, are we doing guesses on bottle, or are we just gonna say best to worst?
I'm gonna do best to worst. I'm not gonna guess at all because I don't know. But okay. I will give my best to worst, and I already have my bottom 2. I'm going back between A and C. I think C is definitely my winner.
Fair enough.
Especially going back to A. Like I really like A, but C is like the total freaking package. Yeah. I still really enjoy A.
A is definitely good.
I have my list. Better. I have 3 that are, number 1 has like a substantial lead. Then second and third place for me are relatively close, whereas D is far in the back end for me.
All right. So your middle 2 are like similar, but one's a little bit better than the other. And then your number 1 is just astronomically better, and your 4 is the dumpster.
I wouldn't say astronomically better. The only one that's like astronomically spaced out is just D. I think D's not even remotely good compared to the rest. But I've also, from when we originally did this flight, because me and Alec, we did this like right when we first started the channel. This was one of our like main live stream, or not live streams, but like main video flights that we did originally. We didn't do Talisker 10. We had a different 10-year age stated.
Wait. Was this the 4 scotches you need to have according to Reddit?
No. Oh. This was we did a 10-year-old blind flight.
Oh, okay. Okay. Gotcha.
And I remember Port Charlotte was the winner. And then I think Laphroaig 10 was second. I think Laphroaig 10's D.
You think Laphroaig 10 is D?
Yeah. But also, like, I've gotten away from the smoky aspect. I think originally when I first got into Scotch, we went really heavy in the smoky aspect because it was new, was interesting, was fun. But now I kind of like the less aggressive. Like, I like to tear apart the flavors outside of the smoke and not just, like, sit in the smoke, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'm going to make a guess.
Okay.
C is Port Charlotte.
All right.
That's my guess as well.
Agreed.
I'm not basing this off of anything other than people tell me that I should love.
Yeah.
No. Like they tell me I should love Port Charlotte, and I actually really like that.
Well, right. Port Charlotte, it's like a easy, findable, readily available $60 peated Scotch.
Well,
but it's not heavily
leaps and bounds better than even A. I'm pretty solidified. All of my answers. I think if we give our results, I think D is by far the worst. I do not want that even near my house. B is like getting flicked in the nuts, whereas D is kicking me in the nuts. Neither one of them I want to happen.
Worse though.
Well, then let's flip-flop it.
Okay.
Because I don't want either to happen, but I would rather have one happen than the other.
Gotcha. Okay, so your guess on C is Port Charlotte. What about the rest?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know any of the other ones, to be honest.
Just absolute grab bag.
Talisker. Talisker's probably A.
Okay.
And then that means B and D. Hold on, let me look at the color. I would say B is Ardbeg and D is Laphroaig.
I think you're spot on with your guesses.
Just because, just from what I know, I think B, I feel like Ardbeg is just that color. And Laphroaig, just remember, that was the first ever peated Scotch I ever had, and I hated it so much, and then I hate this so much. So it's got to be that. Talisker, I'm only guessing that because I feel like I should love Port Charlotte, so that means Talisker I shouldn't love as much, so that's A. That's my guess.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my only difference is I think B and D are swapped. I think that B is Laphroaig 10 and D is Ardbeg 10.
Okay. I have no clue.
I could honestly be wrong. I am purely basing this off of Laphroaig 10 having the meaty flavor that I always get on it. And so that's why I asked you about it on D, because I wasn't sure. But I think that B is definitely meatier, and so I'm going to go with Laphroaig 10 on there.
Yeah, I'd normally be able to tell off of color, but I dumped D into the black blend, so I can't see shit. As
D
far
is
as
way to go,
darker.
Steve.
What?
D is definitely darker.
Okay, well then D is definitely Laphroaig 10. Because Laphroaig 10's darker. And David Bass says, save some of sample D for Seltzer Dan.
Oh, I got some for Dan. Don't worry. He's
Seltzer
going to
Dan
try all 4 of these. Do not worry.
Yeah. Okay. So do you guys have your list of which ones you guys like over the other?
Yep.
All right.
I got my whole order.
Rip them. Let me know.
Trev?
Last place, by far, D. Third place is B. Not as bad, but definitely don't want that near my mouth. Second place is A. I would be happy to own that bottle. C, I would like to go buy that bottle. C is really good.
Yeah, fair enough.
I see this as a victory.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought this was going to be a waste. I really honestly, when you were talking in Patreon earlier today, I was like, we're throwing you in the deep end. I was like, you're not going to like any of these at all. Like, this is just going to be like a cringe flight. But I'll take you liking A and C, which if there were any 2 going into this that I thought you were going to like, given this is completely off of my guesses, I don't actually know for sure, but I'm very confident. I thought Talisker and Port Charlotte were going to be the ones you're going to like.
Well, me and Ethan, I guess, yeah, we tried Port Charlotte at his house. I mean, this is after 20 pours of that night. But I also remember trying it and being like, dude, this is good. Mm-hmm. This is not like any Scotch that anyone's ever shown me or given me. Didn't remember that it tasted this good. I'm much more coherent tonight than I was that night, but I remembered liking it then. And that's why I'm guessing this is Port Charlotte, because of how much I freaking like this.
Yeah, if I remember, I'm not sure if it was Ethan, but someone in chat said that you've tried Port Charlotte 01. Oh, yeah, here we go. Port Charlotte OLC 01. So dang good. And I believe that's a Port Charlotte, but it's wine finished Port Charlotte.
Oh.
We've yet to have that, but I've only heard good things. And with how much I love Port Charlotte, I mean, you cannot go wrong with any Brook Lottie stuff. Like the classic Lottie, it's light, not peated, very vanilla.
Yeah, that one's
but
also
it's still good.
I think Port Charlotte's better, but I do think classic Lottie
sure. That's what we did. We did the classic Lottie and then the Port Charlotte, side by side. We did the classic and then that one, just because he was like, dude, I think you aren't giving it a chance. Let's try this one. And man, that Port Charlotte, oof,
so good.
That's got to be it. That's got to be it.
Ethan says you guys were definitely feeling the sauce that night.
But tell me that's not a sign of the fact that I can remember enjoying that single pour after freaking feeling the sauce.
Feeling the sauce.
I felt the sauce and I remembered it.
There you go.
I mean, you can never go wrong with port try. I mean, honestly, me and Alec, we've gotten slammered multiple times, and like I'll be like, "Bro, try this," and I mean,
it's always in like the worst settings too. It's never like, oh man, like let's sit down and have a quick sip. It's like, hey man, we're having game night, but we got about 5 minutes before we got to go back. Let's try a little bit of this, and I'm like,
But I mean,
and I do try my best to like really enjoy what we're doing at the time. But it's like, dude, hammered. We are hammered.
Yeah. I mean, even if for whatever reason, you know, you're still drunk, like I would never film videos drunk because I don't trust my palate at that point, but you can still like roughly acknowledge flavor profiles. Not to the best of your ability, probably, but you can still roughly acknowledge them.
Yeah, it might be a little bit delayed, hitting the brain, but you get it.
It's usually my problem is waking up the next day or anytime I'm going to reference that pour, I'm like, I physically don't remember what that tasted like. So that kind of doesn't do me any good.
You're like, the short-term memory did not keep it. The long-term memory didn't even try.
We were right, by the way.
You guys were right?
Me and Trev were right. Yeah, not you.
Fair enough. Hey, I got to try to be a little different sometimes, man, okay?
Fair enough.
If we all pick the same damn thing.
So B was Laphroaig?
B was Ardbeg.
No.
Oh, that's right. I mixed up. You got in my head. The lightness. I just remembered. This is kind of why I went with Laphroaig too, is because when I ordered it, I remembered. I was like, man, that kind of looks like kerosene in a glass, And then I tasted it, and I'm like, that tasted like I took a piece of meat and it dropped into the fire. And then I just let it turn into a charred, ashy mess. But then I was so hungry, I'm going to eat it anyway.
Yeah, like you tried picking it up.
And you just and I'm like, around the campfire later, and you were like, oh, dude, it's still there.
Oh, yeah. For the sake of, everyone's transparency, I apologize for that. So A was Talisker 10, B was Ardbeg 10, C was Port Charlotte 10, and then D was Laphroaig 10.
Laphroaig 10 just... If I never tried that again, I would be fine.
Yeah. Now, I will say... And Steven and I, we went through a phase with Laphroaig 10 where we were like, this is really good. We like it. And then we were like, no, this sucks. We hate it. And then all of a sudden, Steve found a Laphroaig 10 cast strength. And I remember the Laphroaig 10 cast strength.
Someone literally immediately just said that as you said that.
Okay. I was like,
that's much better.
Okay. I was going to say, like, the Laphroaig 10 cast strength does present a much better flavor profile. Granted, you are still stepping in ash a little bit. Is
it better because it's cask strength, or is there something different going on?
No, the flavors change for sure, but it's like you still get that underlying flavor from that, like the basic profile. It's just that you also kind of have this like thicker, like I don't know how, I wouldn't say like imagine taking the ashiness and like soaking it in bacon grease and then having some kind of like purification process, but something like that, something in that realm. Okay.
Ugh. Oof.
I remember I told Steve's stepdad to pick up a bottle of Laphroaig. I think it was a 16 actually, but I remember because I was like, Steve and I are really into Laphroaig 10 right now. You should totally get it. Thankfully, he didn't, and he went and he got the Craig Isle 32, which was immensely. I haven't tried the Laphroaig 10 16, but I imagine it was immensely better. So I'm not saying the Laphroaig 10 should be held at a high standard, but I'm saying that the cast strength version should be at least given that like step above its regular, just Laphroaig 10.
Yeah, so Laphroaig 10 brings in still that like rough smoke flavor you get on D, but there is a very, very strong, like just as present as that smoke flavor, there's a strong like red fruit and citrusy note as well. So it's definitely better. Again, everything's kind of cranked up to 11. So if you dislike that like smoky flavor, I highly doubt you're gonna like it. But like Alec was saying, we were super heavy into the whole like Laphroaig, just because Laphroaig used to be like $30 in my area. So it was like dumb cheap. I loved it. I think I've had like 3 bottles of this since I've been heavy into it. But now I think it's a little bit too much smoke. It's too smoky, too ashy for me.
Yeah, it's you dropped meat into a fire or something, and it's just pure ash. It was ash.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's not my jam for sure. Not anymore, at least. Maybe in a past, but again, we have a victory here, saying as how Port Charlotte was, Trev's favorite, and he likes it enough to be willing to buy it, and I'm sure you can still buy it. And if you can't buy it in your area, let me know.
No, I think
buy you some and ship you some.
I can go. There's a store up in Little Rock,
hand deliver.
They're going to have it, so I might go up there, and if I see a Port Charlotte, I'm going to buy it. Is what I'm saying. I like this bottle. I like it.
And if you see the Ethan was saying up there, I believe it was Classic Ethan. The OLC01, I believe that is like Port Charlotte 10, but it's finished in extra shit. And I've heard it's fantastic. And I mean, you've tried it and you remember it being fantastic. So
they were both.
You can't go wrong.
Both of these were. I mean, I obviously didn't taste this and be like, I've tried this at Ethan's house.
Yeah,
but I knew really liking that one, and then I tried this one and said, "This is it." Hey, what's up, Seltzer Dan?
Oh, is that Daniel?
Yeah, that's Seltzer Dan. What was the seltzers you were talking about? The Warhead Seltzers?
Yes, yeah, the Warhead like sour candy seltzers. They weren't actually made by Warhead. They're made by someone else, but whoever they were, they definitely got the approval, at least for branding.
I was going to say they got the branding rights.
Yes.
For Warheads.
Yeah. So they had watermelon, black cherry, lemon, and blue raspberry. But phenomenal, I got to say.
Oh, God. Dan will try them for us. Don't worry.
I was going to say, someone's got you here. I don't care who it is, but someone needs to back me up on this.
Look at him. He's so excited.
Yeah. And he
is
definitely going to be trying all this peated Scotch too.
Yes.
Do like a Patreon live stream. He tries all the peated Scotch and
There's a reason I saved a little bit. This is for you, Dan. I honestly don't think something I learned about him. I think he's a rye guy. He's tried some of my rye and he's liked it more than the bourbons I've given him. So maybe, who knows? He's never tried a peated Scotch. There's no telling what he's going to think. He might love this crap.
It's weird because sometimes when you blind people who aren't like heavily into whiskey, they like things you never thought they would. So this has been an unreleased video, but my fiance, I did a video a long time ago. Our dog ruined the whole video because the audio was just him playing in the corner with a toy. It was so loud. I was like, I can't release this. I can't edit the audio, given I'm not the best at editing as is, but with my limited skills and whatnot, I was like, I don't know how to fix this and make it work. So I just never released a video. But we did a flight and I brought in no peated Scotch because I've been like, I've already done the whole, oh, hey, babe, try this. And she's like, that's heinous. So I knew that was like a no-go area, but I tried like a Highland Scotch. I've tried, bourbon, rye, double oaked products. And she ended up liking the Sazerac rye the best. And I was very surprised because I was like, that was kind of like a filler rye. I was like, well, I got to put a rye on this list. So it's like Sazerac rye. And that was her favorite.
See, Steve, when we did your blind, I remember afterwards I had like a little bit left over. And so I had Shelby try them. And I remember she absolutely hated one of the ryes. It was kind of hilarious how much she hated
the Jack Daniels?
No. What was the other one?
I don't remember. I just remember the Jack Daniels because I was wrong with it.
No. Oh, no, not the one. Not my blind for you. Your blind for me.
Oh,
whatever it was. I just remember that she was like, "That is disgusting. I do not like that." And I remember I was like, "I thought it was pretty good," you know. But I mean, it's just one of those funny things. You never. I mean, because Shelby loves wine, tequila, and seltzers. But when I've had her try bourbons before, I think like there's been some seriously surprising bourbons that she's liked and disliked.
All I'm gonna say, you need to release that video and and don't leave the audio. Just throw up a little screen in the beginning that makes fun of your dog, so people laugh. I'm like, oh God, what are we about to get into? And then we can watch the video and hear your dog play, and no one would care.
If it's a squeaker toy, you simply put every time the squeaker goes off, you drink. And then by the end of the video, they're just having a damn good time.
You say, sorry, my dog decided to play during filming, parentheses, drink every time you hear the squeak. And then people are going to be like, let's go.
They'll be at like a college party and be like, dude, you got to check this out. You're going to have a great time.
Get the bottle ready.
Yeah.
I wish I saved it. I don't have that video anymore. I'm definitely going to recreate the video. No, I've totally messed up. So on my hard drive, I only have 1 terabyte and I can't really afford to buy another hard drive. So I'm like, when I stockpile so many videos, I'm like, okay, well, something has to go. And that just had to bite the dust. But no, moving forward, when I get back from school, I'm going to start releasing things like that on like my Patreon and stuff. I'm going to start actually taking my Patreon serious like you do and start doing like Patreon only live streams and things of that nature. Just to, bring the community a little closer and whatnot, because, well, I pretty much at this point, all I have is Glencairns, which I'll ship out eventually. And that's about it.
That crap's hard.
I want to do what you do, where you just, I don't know, from a user standpoint, your Patreon's like the shit. So that's
I'll tell you right now, I'm glad you think so, but on my end, it freaking is hard.
Oh, yeah. I bet.
Keep up with shipping that amount of stuff. I feel like a freaking
UPS.
I almost said something I didn't need to say. It was rough. It's rough, like boxing everything up and then like keeping track of addresses and stuff, and then it's literally 3 weeks worth of work for me.
Mm-hmm. It's hard enough sending out samples to like multiple people at once. Like when I sent out your flight, I sent out 2 other flights at the same time, and I was like, I don't know which one goes where. All that jazz. So it's I truly understand what you mean by that. I mean, not from lived experience, but I can infer it. Underwater Ron Burgundy's favorite Scotch is probably like Macallan 12.
You say Ron Burgundy.
I don't know, man.
I think it would be a Lagavulin.
Oh yeah, I think that is what he likes.
I wish we tailored this flight actually to you, because that would have been one of the Scotches on that flight. Because Lagavulin 16 is way less aggressive since it's 6 years older than Laphroaig 10 and Ardbeg 10. Even though it's a heavier peat, the barrel aging kind of like it smooths off some of those like sharp, bright edges of the smokiness.
But I liked it like this because it really, like the contrast between A and C and then B and D, it shows you kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
It showed you this extreme end and this extreme end, and then a bottle that was kind of close to the ends. It was like these two, but then the ends. And I like that. I liked showing, hey, this is one side, this is the other, and here's a couple others that aren't quite there, but this is maybe closer to the middle of the spectrum. I I mean, if they were all catered to me, we wouldn't have tried freaking Laphroaig, which wouldn't have told me anything. I know now to never, ever, ever go buy that bottle. I hate that bottle. It's so bad.
Yeah, and they make a Offerman's version from the what's the guy from Parks and Recs? I mean, I know his name's Nick Offerman, but in Parks and Recs, I don't know what his character is.
Ron Swanson?
Yeah, Ron Swanson. He's like a brand ambassador for Lagavulin, and they this last year they made a Guinness edition, and I've heard it's phenomenal. I passed on it just because we're not a Scotch channel. I mean, we're just a general whiskey channel, but Scotch isn't really something I go to more than 5 or 10% of the time. But no, that Lagavulin 16 would definitely be something worth trying at a bar for you to see if you're into it. I think it's similar to that Talisker 10.
Okay.
But it's a little bit more dark. It's like a darker version because Talisker 10, it's bright, it's light, it's kind of vibrant and fruity sweetness, where like Laphroaig 10, it's more of darker, denser because it's 16 years old, has more bourbon or barrel influence and whatnot.
I honestly feel like the Port Charlotte is kind of not a standard. I feel like it's just kind of an outlier that people like. Peated bourbon lovers, either like people like me are going to love it, but then probably peated Scotch people aren't. You're like, it's whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like it's just kind of not the standard. And maybe that's why I like it, is because it's so off profile in this direction. And that's the direction I want Scotch to be. So that's probably why I liked it so much.
I mean, from what I've heard, a lot of people are a huge, huge fan of the Port Charlotte 10.
I honestly couldn't imagine people not liking that. That's bourbon drinkers and Scotch drinkers alike. That's really good.
Dunny says, Trev, replace all the Maker's Mark with peated Scotch since you have an unopened shelf now.
No, I filled the shelf back up, Dunny. God.
Whenever you make space, you always find a way to get rid of it. Like we just recently got a hutch for the living room. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to move all the non-whiskey related shit out of the studio and move it into the hutch so then I can make drinks whenever we're entertaining and stuff of that nature. And then so I had a whole shelf that could hold probably like 30 bottles or so that just magically opened up. And a month and a half later, it's already full now. I don't even know how.
You're like, I have all this space to fill up for new bottles.
Mm-hmm. It just happened. It just happens like that. But yeah, I'm really glad we were able to find a few peated Scotches that you truly enjoyed. I think this was a win.
Impressed.
This was not as cringy as I thought it would be. I thought this was going to be nothing but me highlighting like a single on you of just like in pain.
Honestly,
which would have been equally as fun.
Yeah, I would have truly enjoyed that as well.
B caused me pain. I made a little face, but D definitely caused me pain. But honestly, like you said, I'm surprised that I enjoyed 2 of the 4. I wasn't even expecting that. I thought maybe there would be one that I would be okay with. But I'm happy that I found one that I freaking really like.
Mm-hmm. Bubble Bath Bourbon says there's so many different profiles within the peated Scotches. And yeah, I would agree. There's so many profiles within every single category of whiskey out there. Like,
yeah,
things are just wild. Things change. That being said, we're probably going to have to call this one a night. It's getting a little late for us, so we're going to have to call it. Alec, do you have any closing out words?
I think that Scotch is worth getting into. Now, that also comes from a standpoint of someone who would be like, yeah, let's go and spend, $300-400 on a couple bottles of Scotch. Shit. But I do enjoy it. Even, just picking up that $17, Highland single malt, wasn't mad about it. And I mostly have pretty much just a couple Irish, mostly bourbon, and a couple rye. So having another Scotch in the arsenal, I don't think it's a bad idea. That's me.
Fair enough. Little.
Sluss.
I'm getting like tongue twisted or whatever. It is what it is. Trev, you have any closing out words?
Just want to thank you guys for bringing me on for some pain. But I really enjoyed this. Pain and gain, baby.
Pain and gain.
But I enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun, and you can't beat getting a group of guys together just having fun, because that's what all this is about. So
that's right.
Honestly, if anyone's here because I brought you here and you're not subscribed to these nerds, you need to take a step back, look in the mirror, and question what you're doing with your life. And then go subscribe, and then come back and tell me what you're doing with your life.
And then try some Peated Scotch as well, if you have not.
Port Charlotte first, period. Hands down.
Yeah, Port Charlotte for the win, hands down. Well, it's been a blast actually having you on. So you're the second guest we've had on, and this has been a lot of fun. We're definitely in the future. We'll definitely try to do some more content with you guys or with you moving forward. I always do that where I'm always like us, you guys, and it's just like me sitting in front of a camera filming by myself. I'm like, we're over here doing this, and I don't know. It's just, it is what it is. But no, this has been a blast, and we definitely look forward to doing some more stuff like this with you in the future, and hopefully we can maybe get some more Scotch or whatever,
maybe Irish. Maybe this will be a double tone. Steve and
Trev, maybe Alec will come through and make like a whole Irish flight, just trying to get us into Irish whiskey, because I'm kind of not really into Irish whiskey.
I feel like that's not going to be hard for me, because the Irish I've tried, unless it's not as good as Blue Spot, I feel like I'll be easily transformed into that.
There you go.
So good.
We'll make it.
But yeah, that's a wrap for this here live stream, guys. Go ahead and do all those cool, YouTube-y things. Like, comment, subscribe. Go follow Bourbon Wrench. He's a fantastic guy, and check him out on all those cool things. Cheers, y'all. We'll see you later. Have a nice rest of your freaking night.